This is something new to me because I'm usually behind the camera. So, excuse me, I'm not going to be as professional as others are. I'll do my best. Um, First of all, I want to thank Girish and Sonia, whom I've known for many, many years, who have been part of what I've been doing and have also guided me at many occasions. Thank you for inviting me. Um, Everybody has talked today since the morning. I've been listening about their personal dreams. I think dreams are a one-man army. It's you cannot outsource it. It has to be. You have to believe in it, and you got to make it work. So I'm going to share with you some of the situations that I faced, I came across. So, and how certain things opened, okay? So, very simply, I'll just give you a background. I didn't go to any film school. I did my BSc Zoology. My parents first wanted me a doctor, like everybody had said, but I didn't get a medical seat. So, I happened to become an ad filmmaker. Now, I was quite successful initially itself with my advertising commercials, and I started getting my first commercial itself was for one of the biggest tire brands in the country, and it allowed me to, first of all, I should say the way I got into this creative field, okay, was definitely to think different. When every advertising work was happening in Mumbai, I was a Chennai boy in those days, Madras. So trying to make a commercial out of Madras, you don't get recognized, okay? And so first of all, I got this opportunity to do some 10 commercials for MRF. And so we were free, no pressures, but I said I have to think different. I want to change the canvas. I want to bring in some new ideas. So the first commercial I did, I remember everything was very visual and music oriented. So music played an important role. And A.R. Rehman, who was Dilip at that time, we were friends from school. And he used to rent out music equipments. So I took his the latest keyboard that he bought, this precious keyboard, and took it to the beach and put it under the sun for the whole day and made a commercial, which he still is upset about that. But that commercial went on to become, that year, the advertising film of the year. So there was no typical voiceover, supers. It was a kind of imaginative, something very different, and it connected with all kinds of audience, first and foremost. You don't try to intellectualize and make it so creative that everybody doesn't understand. So it was something that touched everybody. And so that helped me build my journey. Then, which led to, for me to get different kinds of commercials, not the regular P&G and Colgates and lever films. I was doing more naturalistic, outdoor, adventurous. That was a kind of a DNA that got into me. So I come from a background where my father was a part of the freedom struggle. So he's a Gandhian at home and still living with total values of what he has imbibed and what he has lived all his life. And I a modern entrepreneur of that time in advertising with new lifestyle. So obviously there is a big mismatch and a big generation gap there itself. So years went by, I was doing a lot of flying and a lot of traveling and a lot of going around the world. So I had my initial share of fun in advertising. But my father was a very unhappy man at the time. He used to sit in one corner, he used to smoke his Charminar, wear his khadi, and used a very simple life. So one day, in '96, he called me, he sat me down, and he said, "You said advertising is all about creating big ideas. So you are given a product like a tire or a Pepsi, you create a big idea which sells more of that product. Why don't you create a big idea for India? Why don't you create an idea that you will sell India back to Indians emotionally?" And then, he showed just spontaneously, just see these marks. Whenever we used to sing Vande Mataram in the jail, get beaten up, that was the cry. Do something now. And I would say he was my motivation to begin my dreams. Okay. Which then instantly, for the next few days, I had to go back for a shoot. Something changed. We postponed it, and I started dreaming. What do I do? Now, here's an exciting challenge. Now, some interesting learnings from advertising that make me think. So, obviously, you have an identity, not just trying to be only creative. You also went up to how a media plan has to be done. So, the entire gamut, my mind started working. One has to put a big idea. So, instantly, I went and first wanted to find a look what this Vande Mataram is, So at that time, coming from advertising and travel to the US and everything, you'll think, okay, let's do something like I Love New York. You can do I Love India. But instead of that, we decided to do something from within, which is Vande Mataram already existed. Vande Mataram has been a part of our history, but it has a new meaning. That was the goal. So I immediately, first thing, I contacted a friend of mine, a very well-renowned artist called Tota Tarni, and said, I went and poured out the emotion what my father shared, and said, create me a big idea for India. And the next thing he did was, he created a 6-foot flag. He just, asked me to go, and next morning he called me and come over. So I went to his house. So he sat all night, and in a big canvas, he painted these, with a certain sense of fervor, the tricolor. And I got my identity. I said, yes, this is my look, which I still wear, which I still is a part of whatever I do. So thereafter started thinking, what will this Vande Mataram have to create a big idea? And for me, everything I think or I should do, it should be something where I can personally do it. Because it's your dream, you got to deliver it. So it's all in the form of films. And that's all. So then I said, let's first immediately made a CD, exactly like this, a CD cover, which you must have seen in the Vande Mataram album when it was released by A.R Rehman. The exact cover was designed with an empty box. And I went and shared this with Rehman and said, hey, this is your first music album. You keep doing music for feature films. This is your first music album. And I said, listen, I'll get you an international label to sign on it. It will not be your HMV or any other music today's, but we'll get somebody big, international. So he said, what? I said, let's go and get Sony Music. And that was it. He has never been to the US or anywhere, even to England at that time. Okay. So I took him to England, did the recording. So I said, one learning from advertising is, we're doing an idea for India. This is not public service advertising. This has to be contemporary, cutting edge, and it has to compete with the best of the works. Whether it is the song, it has to fight the most popular Bollywood song of that time. If it is a film, it should inspire anybody. It shouldn't be categorized as one public service film. And so I said, what's my brand identity? What's my product shot? Product shot is the flag. So I said, okay, let's go to the company where I used to go and shoot for Pepsi, where we used to shoot some 500 frames, slow motion shots. And those didn't exist in those days over here. So we went and shot the flag in England. Now, to cut short all this story, did many, many things. But the first point is, at that time, as a company, or company means the people who are with me, I said that we're not going to do advertising. So we put 10 years of our earning to say, let's create in the next 1.5 years, a big idea called Vande Mataram. So which was an album, couple of music videos. I won't call them just music videos. They were like kind of a journey, an epic film that showcased the emotion of India. And then we did 200 short films, 200 one-minute films on India, because India doesn't have a kind of a patience to watch documentary. And if you don't have personalities, if I take a common man and show them and package him to say, oh, he's a great Mahout, nobody's going to watch it. It needs, coming from advertising, I said, let me make it slick and smart and make it look in 1 minute and keep repeating it. And then only people will watch it. So the big idea was to create this. First of all, the content has to be emotional, passion, and a total honesty. Then only it will show up. You can't create a big idea just like that. So went on to create all this with all what we had of 10 years of earnings. So it costed us a lot of money. And we reached a point where we almost ran out. So how are we going to, we have done this 200 films. We have done this so many big music videos and recordings. How are we going to release it? What's the big idea? How do we get all these television channels? Which is the main point of distribution to reach the masses? So I started going to corporates. Okay, so nobody is going to believe if I take a PowerPoint and say, I intend to do this. That's not going to happen. So the first thing is I made the films. I made the music video. I made the song with Rehman. And I put all of them into a kind of a presentation model. I would say, somebody said that when you want, access will happen. When you dream and when you want to achieve, access will happen. Fortunately, I got access to like the Tatas, the Birlas, the Reliance, the Bajaj, everybody to the top. Everybody saw, said, fantastic work. Everybody asked, what is in it for me? I didn't know what to say. I just thought that everybody is a big corporate. They'll do something for India. But honestly, at that point, I didn't find a single person. So then I heard that government is going to spend a lot of money on films for celebrating 50 years of India's independence. So I thought, okay, I'll go and show it there. So before that, again, everything, when you dream, you have to be inventive as you go along. Okay? Like you will face many hurdles. So you'll have to change your ideas because your dream is important, your goal is important, nothing else to come stop in between. So I was going, I had a lot of expenses. We have a filming, and everything what we filmed was on 35mm film, not just video and all. So it's very expensive. Okay? So I was going, all my travels were all in economy class. And I made damn good friends at the airport in Bombay, in Indian Airlines. So whenever I travel, they will be, I know I'll be last minute, they'll help me out and all. Okay? So then suddenly one idea came. I'm not meeting, I've got to all these boardrooms, but nothing happened. I still have to find one man who believes in this, which will change this, which will help me the resources to move to the next leg. So I said, let me, not my others in crew, let me start flying business class. Okay? I thought for business class, if I do like a Bombay-Delhi sector or a Bombay-Chennai sector, kahin, one guy I will find. And I used to go to the airport and then, hey, ask, hey, who's sitting in it, So like that, the guy helped me. The Indian Airlines guy helped me. He'll put me to a guy who's the senior most VP XYZ. So I managed to get some kind of, I was like a medical rep carrying my presentation in a box and then within 1 hour, make friends and show it to him. It worked to some extent. But then finally my big catch happened on a flight from Chennai to Bombay. Colgate chairman was next to me. Okay? So I told him, sir, this is what I'm doing. And the man listened to it. I got 1 hour peaceful time with him. And then he said, oh, how much do you want? So I said, I'd spent about 3 crores at that time, 3.5 crores. I said, sir, 5 crores. Is that all?